Jessica, welcome to Spark TV.
Thank you.
Very excited to have you on and share your story.
Yes.
Let's start out by telling everyone who you are and what you do.
Oh, goodness me. You won't be able to shut me up soon. I'm Jess. I've been a nurse for, I don't know, 12 years or so. Worked in lots of different areas and now originally from Melbourne, moved to Perth, now live in remote Pilbara, so up in Karratha or Dampier, and have a private clinic. So yeah, it's good fun, really focused more on health now, kind of gone from that cosmetic side back to health, while I still
Mhm.
do a lot of that. Yeah, really focused on health education, dealing with conditions and kind of deep diving and a lot of prevention as well.
Yeah, awesome. What brought you to the Pilbara?
My husband's work, so I've actually been running his business for 8 years.
Oh,
So
wow.
we have another business that we started in Melbourne, then had Melbourne, Perth, Pilbara, but he's been FIFO off and on since he was 21. So
Mm,
yeah, the goal with his business was always to kind of get into the mining,
yep.
and kind of get out of the city. And yeah, so we kind of did that and everything was very last minute. We changed real quick. So it was like, oh, we'll buy a house up here and we'll just use it and visit and just we've got somewhere to stay when the guys are working and whatnot. And then last minute we were like, nope, we're moving. So we sold the houses in Melbourne, we sold the houses in Perth, and we are just Pilbara based now. And we
Wow.
love it. It's a lot slower, a lot quieter. So we're just out in Dampier, which is about 15 minutes from Karratha,
Mhm.
along the coast, and it's beautiful. Yeah,
Oh,
nice and
wow.
chilled, live on the beach, go out on the boat. So just kind of, yeah, slowed it down a lot. Well, I say that we travel a lot, so it's still busy, but yeah, it's just a really nice, chilled place to live. So,
Wow, how cool. I had the reverse experience. So I moved to Kalgoorlie
yeah.
3 years ago and I was like, it's too quiet. Where's the noise?
Trust me, there's still a lot of small town drama.
Oh, yeah,
That's for
totally.
sure. But it's good, and we've got two boys, so they are very outdoorsy. So forever on the boat, or fishing, or swimming, and motorbike riding, or camping, and things like that. So it really kind of suits our lifestyle now. And yeah, when we want to be busy, we travel and we head to cities and whatnot, and then it's
Yep.
nice to come home and just chill out.
Oh, that is so good. I love that. So, what did you do? So, you were supporting your husband in his business.
Yeah.
What part of that business were you running?
Everything.
Yeah.
So
Anything that
I was
wasn't him, anything that
still
wasn't him doing the
nursing.
job, you do
Yeah.
everything. Yeah.
So I was still nursing, worked in a hospital for a really long time. I was a theatre nurse for a long, long time, palliative care, you'd name it,
Wow.
community and all sorts of stuff, which I loved. And then I was still doing that, had two young kids. I was kind of just nursing in the hospital casually. And then we decided to start his business. So I kind of took over running a lot of it. Kind of his main role is like he understands the job, but I was kind of doing all the paperwork or the admin and everything
Mm,
else in between. And then we kind of built that a lot. So I kind of didn't do too much nursing. And to be honest, I kind of really didn't like the hospital vibe anymore. It was
mm,
very much that's not my job, or like no one wanted to
mm.
work together. It was just not the environment that I wanted to be in. Like I loved what I did and I didn't want to go to work for anything else. And it just became like it was like this
Politics, office
anxiety.
politics.
It was like I
Yeah.
had anxiety about going to work because the drama was never really had anything to do with me, but you just didn't want to be in that environment, like doctors and nurses arguing or nurses
Mm,
arguing, and like it was just I didn't like it, and it was just taking away from the patients. I found as well it was so heavy on the paperwork. You didn't have enough time to provide the care properly and whatnot. So it was a bit disheartening. So I kind of pulled away and just kind of did the hours I had to do,
yeah.
really. And kind of then focused and did a lot more on his business. And then when we moved up here, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago now, I can't even remember. I was like, you know what, I'm going to do something for me, and what can I still do with my nursing kind of degree. But I didn't have to go back into a hospital, and then kind of, cosmetics is definitely, just kind of a progression for a lot of nurses that kind of want out of hospital. It's something that we can do by ourselves with the support of doctors, and there's all different programs now that support nurses
Yep.
to be able to do this by themselves. So I kind of started with that, and then kind of brought in that beauty aspect of skin and whatnot. And
Hmm.
then, yeah, the more I kind of just started talking to people again, it was nice. My patients weren't unconscious anymore. Um,
Oh,
and
yes.
I could kind of get back to that community kind of nursing that I really loved, and that support, and just more and more people was like, oh, I feel like this and feel like this. And I'm like, none of that's normal. So,
Mm,
really trying to now support women and men as well, just really understanding them, their body, their health journey, what it is that they need, and everything that I do is so customized. And I work with a lot of people in the community. So a good friend of mine, she's a nutritionist. You've spoken to her. Um,
oh, yes. Oh my God.
Anna.
It's a good chat.
So
Yes.
we actually work together. I do a lot of testing, and we do customized meal plans and things like that. And then I also refer to others in the community like physio and chiro, and just the benefits of
Mm,
using things before you get hurt, or before, some damage is done, and the importance of, listening to your body. So we kind of deep dive into a lot of people's concerns and issues, and understanding what it means for them and how to kind of manage it that way. So while I still do the cosmetic side, it's very much a holistic focus now. So while they may want their, muscle relaxant or whatnot, we kind of deep dive into what issues may be going on or underlining. We really kind
mm,
of get to the bottom of like how we can actually support the body through aging properly, instead of just trying to find a quick fix as well. So yeah, kind of looking at it more from the inside
holistically.
out than the
Yeah.
outside in, which I really like. And yeah, just get to work with people again. So while it's a lot of it is in the clinic, because people I find really like that face to face,
Mm,
I have clients in the UK, I have clients all around Australia, because people will visit and go, oh my God, can you do this for me? And then we kind of do a lot of telehealth kind of appointments and check-ins and whatnot, and support that way. And yeah, if I do head to Perth, I'll go to a home visit and stuff
that's
like
so
that.
good.
So it's nice to kind of get back to people again, really, and be on that level and work in the community. So yeah, it's nice to just do things
I
again
love
in
it.
that
And it's,
nursing space. So
yeah, and it's so cool that you got to take like all of the bits that you love
yeah,
about nursing and do it for yourself
yeah,
and do it in your own way, do it
yeah,
for your own business, grow it the way you want to grow it, take the
yeah.
good things, ditch the bad things.
Yeah. So
Kind of
while
why I love
you still have
business.
to do a lot of paperwork and whatnot,
Yeah.
and like your business is always more time consuming, um, yeah, I just really like talking to people again, and getting people to also understand themselves.
Mm,
And yeah, just lots of light bulb moments. Like you see people go, oh my gosh, like I didn't think of it that way. I didn't understand it that way. Or, a doctor may have explained something to you, but you didn't really understand. So then I kind
yeah.
of break it down or give you a bit more information, and then it's just a lot easier.
Yeah.
And I have, been reaching out, and I do have doctors in the community that support me and that actually refer to me now, which is really nice. So, I'll do iron infusions and like wound
Cool. Wow.
care, and home visits for people that maybe can't get out, or, I have a service where you can just book in to give me a call and ask me a question. It's like, oh, do I need to go to the doctors for this? Or what do I need to do? Or what should I do if they're like unsure?
Yeah.
Because I'm very much of, you know, not wasting doctors' time.
Yeah,
There's
totally.
a lot of times where people go to the doctors unnecessarily, but because they don't have the information or they don't know who to ask. So,
Mm,
trying to reduce those wait times for people that really need the doctors, or even just reducing the time or the amount of people that sit in an emergency waiting room and it's not really an emergency. They maybe could have gone to a doctor's clinic for certain things and stuff like that, or, you know, called a nurse. I get calls all the time, be like, oh, my kid did this, what do I do? Or, oh, I've got this, what should I do? Or can you help me? Or can you remove my stitches for me? I can't get into the doctor. And up here, it's pretty difficult to get in regularly to a doctor. There's always a bit of a wait. So
Yeah.
a lot of people are like, oh, can you just do this? I'm like, yep, no worries, come on in. So
How
yeah,
good.
it's nice, that's for sure.
That is so good. I love it. And, so you mentioned the business side as well. And it, obviously is always more time consuming than we think it is. And
Yeah.
a little bit more boring than the fun stuff that we like to do in business.
Yeah.
But how did you like make that leap? So you were working in nursing. So, someone else is taking care of that.
Yeah.
You're an employee. Then
Yeah.
you start taking over your husband's business and all of that
Yeah.
side of things. And then you're doing it for yourself now. Like,
Yeah.
how did you learn those things? How was that transition from?
I am very much a believer in, obviously we can't know everything, and find someone else that does. So we have a really, really good accountant that we set up from the beginning for my husband's business and then in turn my business. We learned a lot in that, but I'll do payroll and everything for his business. But yeah, finding someone that can actually support you. So we used to have office staff and everything. We don't anymore. But, people come with different, experiences and whatnot. And like, especially with the accountant, we've set it up in a way that it works for us and the accountants are always doing their job. Like, I'm not sitting there trying to pay BAS. Like I just get an invoice and they're like, pay this. I'm like, okay, done.
Okay, done. Yeah.
Like, because that's not my thing. Like,
Yeah.
whereas I understand, like my husband doesn't have access to the bank accounts for lots of reasons. There would be nothing left. But, I'm, very much like keeping up to date with bills and stuff. So you learn, but definitely getting that support. And even when starting my business, like I paid to have access to a few mentors that had already been doing it, had been doing it for a while. I'm forever online, learning, doing courses. I don't even know how many diplomas I'm currently enrolled in online. So forever just trying to build my knowledge, but also if it's not my thing, I'm just going to outsource it. So like websites are not my thing. Had someone do my website. Social media really isn't my thing. I have someone that helps do all of that. So really looking at what it is that you want to do and what you want to focus your attention on as well, because we can't do everything, and that means then we can't always do everything right if we're spreading ourselves too thin. So kind of having those people that are in your corner that can support you, whether it be paying for some mentorship program. You might do it once a month or maybe once every 6 months, just to kind of get some like bounce off information and get some feedback and whatnot, especially if you are working by yourself. It's really hard when you don't have anyone else to talk to. And where I am, like with Anna and a few others in the community, we very much support each other. Even some of us that are doing the exact same thing, we will still support each other, we'll recommend to each other, because we don't all do the exact same thing the exact same way, and we like doing certain things and not other things and whatnot. But it's nice to just be like, hey, I'm really not sure about something, what do you think? Or I had this client come in, I don't know what to do here or where to go. And then even with, a lot of the doctors are really good at supporting and whatnot. Children outside. It's really, I think it's important to kind of see where you need those support systems. And if you can kind of get them, it doesn't have to be a forever thing, but even just doing a little course here and there in business. And I actually, when I was working at a hospital a long time ago, they put me through a business management course.
Oh, cool.
So, I kind of drew on a lot of what I learned with managing people and dealing with employees and things like that. And the company that my husband has, we are ISO accredited. So we've gone through that whole process for environmental and health management and whatnot. So I actually learned a lot during that process, and I have taken a lot of that and been able to implement, what I need. So I don't have staff, but I'm not looking at having any staff. But, definitely a lot of those things when you do have employees that you don't know about, that I had no idea. Like if you don't hand out that Fair Work statement, it's $1,000 fine. If something happens and they're asked if they received it, it's $1,000. Like I had no idea when we started the business that
I saw this
that was a
social
thing.
media. Yeah, I saw this social media post yesterday that they're now doing, if you've underpaid people's super, you could end up in jail for 10 years. And
Yeah,
I was
well,
like,
you have to
what
pay it back.
the?
You have to
Yeah,
pay,
it's
even if
wild.
even if the employee was from years ago,
Yeah.
you don't rectify that, you can be fined. Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah.
And so I love your point. It's like you don't need to be an expert, find an expert.
But yeah. And there are so many now. And I think with social media, there are so many people that have courses online and whatnot. I'm still You still have to be wary of some of them and what
Mm.
kind of qualifications, because anyone can get some online qualifications
Lost
now. But
it. Yeah.
um, find someone local to your community, someone in the area that you can reach out to if you do have a question. And a lot of the time they'll be more than happy to help.
Mm,
Um, and be able to provide the information. But yeah, definitely if you are employing staff, go and get all the information. Fair Work has a lot of stuff online. You have to send out, if they're a casual employee or a full-time employee, make sure you have a contract, make sure everything is written down, make sure everything is via email. It's really, really important. And we also have an external HR company that
nice.
we use as well. So there are lots of them, like we use EmploySure, but there are so many out there, and it's just handy because we've had to fire people before and whatnot. And if you don't follow the correct process, you don't have a leg to stand on. Um, and some people can be nasty, even though they're in the wrong, they will try to hurt you and hurt your business. So, look at the way that your business is structured as well is really important. Everything is actually in my husband's name. So he has the business, but it's actually, yeah, completely separate. So he actually doesn't own anything. So if something
Mm.
happened and anyone tried to go him, everything's in my name. So
Yep.
nothing would happen, and like no one could try to take our house or anything like that. So I think it's really important to understand the structure of your business, and is it the right structure for your business? And a good accountant should really support you in that, especially if you do start to grow. Your structure may not suit you anymore. So
Yeah.
you need to change that structure to benefit you, because obviously, we can't get away from paying taxes and whatnot, but there's definitely ways that are better for your business, and support your business more.
Yeah.
Um, in the way that it is structured. Otherwise, you could be paying a lot more than you should be, and no one wants to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that you're right. It's like, where business is a serious game,
Yeah,
there's
it really
like
is.
the government, there's tax office, there's like
Yeah,
humans involved. Like if you don't get it right, you do put yourself and your family at risk.
yeah,
And like to your point as well, like your house, like everything that you've built together,
yeah.
like you could be risking that if you haven't got good advice and aren't putting those structures in place.
Exactly. And definitely insurance. And as a small business, I
Mm.
don't know any small business that could afford to have that happen. And we've been very lucky with my husband's business, but during COVID time and prior to, we did see some businesses go under, unfortunately, because other businesses, weren't paying and they didn't pay them. And, they're the first ones to go under, and they did lose their
Yeah.
house and everything like that, which is really, really horrible. But no one wants to be in that situation if it can be avoided. So really looking at how you structured your business, what do you have in place, if you've got the right insurances, like, you know, is there a governing body that actually governs you? Are you following their
Yeah.
legislation and their rules? So a lot of, for especially cosmetics and whatnot, like TGA, but then we've got APRA as a nursing registration. So
Yeah.
we have all of these different bodies that we have to follow, and it's really important. And I think if anyone is in the beauty industry as well, you know, making sure you're keeping up with any regular training, document it, because if something does happen, your insurance won't support you if you don't have anything to back it up.
Mm.
So that's really important as well. And I think we forget about our insurances sometimes. It's like, oh, hang on, I've added this new treatment or this product or whatever, and I haven't actually updated my insurance to make sure I'm covered for it. So, you know, sometimes you need to just, I think, take a little bit of time too and just evaluate. Sometimes I'm so bad. I'm like, oh my God, I haven't done this, I haven't done that. And I'll get an email and I'll be like, oh, whoops. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's
and you're right,
hard, but
it
it's
is.
it can be rewarding.
But it's a good practice to be in. I find I'll like do the same thing. I'll just have this moment of like, oh my God, I've forgotten to do that. So
Yeah,
all my life admin slash business admin, oh my God's going to a list.
yeah,
And then like for like 1 or 2 hours a month, I just put like a calendar appointment in, and I'm like,
yeah,
that's the time that I just need to go through that list and just start ticking off
yeah,
items, because otherwise you just go, well, I've got to prioritize sales, I've got to prioritize clients,
yeah,
everything else can wait. But it's like if you let it go too long, you can really put yourself into a little bit of a
yeah.
pickle.
Definitely. Yeah, I can do that sometimes myself. It's not fun. I'm like, oh, I'm freaking out. But
No.
yeah, it's hard to juggle it. And don't think until you have your own business, you realize how much goes into a business. Like
Oh,
for a lot of the time, you just tend to go to work and you come home and you don't really think about anything else, but you don't realize what's going on behind the scenes. And like, there's still some people that just have no idea. And it's really hard to
employees
explain.
especially.
Oh,
You go, oh, I could do that.
employees, I reckon, are the biggest headache.
Yes. I always say that.
Only
I'm like,
because you're dealing with someone else's life.
yeah, yeah,
And, you know, at the end of the day, everyone is going to do what's best for them, which is
yeah,
completely fair enough. But it's hard when you rely on somebody and they don't come to work, or, you know, they leave, or something happens, or, you know, and then you also have to be careful too, I think, to cross that friendship boundary as well, because then it starts to get really messy. It's like, you know, are they your friend or are they your employee? Because then when you do have to maybe show a bit of discipline or whatnot, it's
yeah.
very standoffish and they think you're nasty and whatnot. It's like, no, I'm your employee. And yeah, one thing, never employ friends either. Don't employ
Or
friends
family.
or
Or
family.
family.
No, big
Oh my
no.
God.
Never go into partnership with anyone. Yeah, I've seen way too many things happen. It's a hard one, but yeah,
It really
I'm
is.
not, I deal with enough employees that I don't want my own.
I know at the height of so pre-COVID, at the height of my other business, we had 20 employees.
Yeah,
And I was like, it was at that point that I was like, I never want to manage another person again ever in my
yeah.
life. Like seriously.
Yeah,
It's
we
wild.
had a lot, and then we kind of made a few redundant, kept on some, then some left and whatnot. I was like, yeah, never again, never
Yeah.
again. I'm like, now we have a handful of a few,
Yep.
and they're easy to manage, and everyone's can be pretty independent. But I was like,
Yep.
it's so difficult. Like,
Oh, totally. And
it
it's cool now.
really,
You can outsource so much. Like you mentioned,
yeah,
like obviously accountants, bookkeepers, social media
anything.
people, like, or you can just find people for like the little projects
Yeah,
that you don't want to do, or you're not good at,
yeah,
or is maybe not worth your time if you're
yeah,
at one level.
yeah,
It's so cool that we live in that day and age where it's
yeah.
like, yeah, social media is a great example. I don't want to do that. I'm going to get someone, they're going to do X hours a month or whatever, and that is sorted.
Exactly. I had a few just mums that wanted to work but had kids at home and whatnot. So I like we didn't have an office or anything anymore when we moved from Melbourne to Perth. So it was pretty much, well, you just work at home. I'm going to send you stuff that I don't want to do. And it was like, you just tell me how many hours you've done. And I could see pretty much when they logged in through Google and stuff like that, what was done. A lot of it was just filing because we're a paperless company.
Yeah.
So a lot of it was just online filing and sorting and updating spreadsheets and whatnot with data. And I did not have time to sit there and do all of that. So it was great because she was like, "Oh, good, I'm actually using my brain again. I would like
Yeah.
fit in hours when baby was sleeping and this and that." And it was great because I could support someone that wanted to work but couldn't commit to something full time. So I just said, well, these are the tasks that I want done. You've got do them all, and then when you finish those, I'll give you more. So it just
Yeah.
worked. But there's so many women at home though that want to work, they just can't, or childcare is so expensive, or they can't get in. So there's
Mm.
so many resources out there, and there's so many women that are very educated, that have a lot of experience, and you don't realize they can bring so much to your business as well, just by even having conversations and whatnot and
Yeah.
getting them to do a few things for you. It's like, oh wow, I didn't even think of that. Like, that's a great idea. So, there's, yeah, I think social media can have its benefits as well. Some of it I'm not great on. Some of the information that comes out, especially all the health stuff, everyone's a health coach
Oh,
now, and I'm like, oh
yeah.
God, please stop. Um, so yeah, but there's definitely pros to it. And like I said, if you don't know, find someone that does, you know.
Yeah. And I love your point about like, mums and people who are looking for that flexible work kind of environment because a lot of big employers don't offer that anymore. They're still
Yeah,
all on the everyone's got to go back into the office bandwagon.
yeah,
There are so many people that want to work but
yeah,
just really find it hard. And to your point, like if you've got these little projects or little tasks or whatever, they would be so happy doing them. I think
yeah,
sometimes we think oh, it's just data entry. No one's going to want to do that. Or I can't afford a full-time person. It's like, no, you can like get little projects done.
yeah.
Someone would be so happy to support you.
Yeah, definitely. And that's what I found. Like, these women had worked in offices and whatnot, but they couldn't commit to that 9 to 5. It was
Yeah.
just impossible for them. But it didn't bother me whether or not they were working 9 to 5. I like one of them, she would get up early, like she was up early, but her baby would still be sleeping. So she'd do an hour here, then deal with the kids during the day. When they napped, she'd do a couple more hours. And then when they'd gone to bed, she'd do a few more hours. And it didn't bother me as long as what I was asking that got done, it got done.
Yeah.
And if I would just prioritize as well. So I was like, oh, can you do this first and work on the other stuff later? Like, this is urgent or whatever. And they
Yeah.
had no issues. And it wasn't as if I was setting hours and they had to like clock in, clock out, blah, blah, blah. I was like, you just submit a timesheet, like put in the hours that you've done, and you can roughly work out whether it's correct or not by what
Yeah.
you've given them. And yeah, they were happy. They absolutely loved it because it gave them something to
Mm.
do and use their minds again instead of just being in this baby brain mode a lot of the time, because it can be hard. You feel like you're
Yeah.
going crazy, but they appreciate. And then also we would like chat over the phone and like, how's it going, blah blah blah. Or every now and then we might get together if we could, if they were like local, and we'd go meet for coffee, or I'd take them out for lunch or something. And it's really nice that way because you feel like you have a purpose again. So,
Yeah.
and it was great because I had someone that could help me, and I had someone to also bounce off instead of just working at home by myself on the computer all day. So no, it's good.
Exactly.
There's
Oh,
definitely
I love it.
out there.
Yeah,
Um,
it's just nice we live in a time where like you've got flexibility,
yeah,
it's not the days of, you've got to hire someone full time, you've got to have an office, you've got to be there.
yeah,
It just doesn't exist anymore. But I think some people still think that's the way. So,
yeah.
it's nice to have these conversations, especially if anyone's listening going, "Oh my God, I'm drowning in all of the work."
And
There
all I did was put a post up in Facebook groups to be like, oh,
nice.
is there anyone out there that wants to do some office admin from home?
Yeah.
Like, and there were so many mums that were like, yes, 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 yes. And I was like, oh my God, I did not expect. And none of them were really looking for it at the time either, because they didn't
Mm.
think it was an option or a
Yeah.
possibility. So But once they were like, oh, wow, yes, can I? And then I pretty much met up with a couple of them or had a chat over the phone. They submitted a resume still, and like some of them were pretty good. Like,
Wow.
but they're like, they didn't want to go back to work yet, or they didn't want to commit to those hours and whatnot. And I was like, well, it's flexible. You do you, but I'm just
Mm.
going to send you what I want done and just, yeah, whenever it suits you kind of a thing. It was like pretty casual, but stuff got done and they didn't feel like so overwhelmed either, which is nice. So, yeah. I
I
think it's
love it.
just nice to be able to then support others as well. And then they're making a little bit of income, feeling like they can, contribute and do things as well. A lot of them use it as their pocket money and they go shopping.
Yeah.
Like, oh
Damn it, I need some more of that.
yeah.
Oh,
Uh,
so good, so good.
yeah.
We could talk all day,
Yeah.
but I love to wrap up these podcasts with one last piece of advice. So, reflecting on your time in business, what
Yeah.
would be a piece of advice that you would give to another woman on her business journey?
Oh, do what you love and make it fun.
I love that.
Definitely. Um, I think it's great going into business, but if you're not completely in it, or if it doesn't become fun anymore, then it's gonna feel like a chore and you won't want to do it anymore. And then there's no point. What's the point? So, and it just affects everything else in your life. And I'm a preacher of, we have to reduce stress as much as possible. It really does affect us. So, find something that you love and that you're passionate about and make it work for you. Otherwise, there's no point, really.
Oh, I love it. I couldn't agree more. Jess, thank you so
No
much
worries.
for
Thank
sharing your
you.
story and experiences. That was awesome.
Thank you so much.